Hello there. Some of my acquaintances happened to visit Turkey back in the days. After arriving there, they hired a cab, but the cab driver insisted on taking 2 passengers, and they were 3. Somehow they managed to convince him and paid him some extra money, other than the regular fare. But the cab driver took only the fare and refused to take the extra money. When they inquired him, "You are supposed to be happy. What's this refusal all about?" Then he said, "You are encouraging and appreciating me that I have broken the law of my country, or you want me to give you respect for the rest of my life only because you paid me some extra money." Although the cab driver had already broken the law, but he was extremely embarrassed of his action because of his awake self-conscience. Perhaps you would have heard a common maxim about Pakistani nation that it has a great potential and it is very, very talented. As a matter of fact, it is nothing more than a ludicrous notion, because only talent doesn't pay your bills or it doesn't feed you. Actually, it is the right attitude towards your life, society, and environment which makes things different. For instance, we can analyze the lives of some great people who achieved remarkable success in their lives, and they were not very talented, but they had the right attitude. For instance, Steve Jobs, co-founder of Apple Corporation, world's largest computer manufacturing brand, was a college dropout. Albert Einstein, father of modern physics, and floated many theories, barely passed his matriculation exam. Nelson Mandela, former president of South Africa, he was sentenced to prison only because he raised his voice against racial segregation, and he remained in prison for 28 years. But all of these great men have one thing in common, and that is right attitude, which makes them not only the right citizen, but also they earn respect all over the world. An anonymous writer once said, "Our lives are not determined by what happens to us, but how we react to what happens, not what life brings to us, but by the attitude we bring to life. It is the right attitude which causes a chain reaction of positive thoughts, events, and outcomes. It is a spark, a catalyst that creates extraordinary results." In September 2013, a homeless person of Boston found a bag containing $42,000. The question is, what did he do with that money? He simply turned it into the police authority and wanted to make sure that this money should be returned to its rightful owner safely. However, he later told them he had been homeless since he lost his job in 2005. On the other hand, in our so-called Islamic democratic country, people are not safe even in the mosques. A notion of something bad keeps us restless all the time. The point is, people expect so many things from the government, but they fail to realize that in order to fulfill those expectations, state requires certain responsibilities from her citizens to achieve those objectives. If people, however, do not perform their duties, then how could they expect deliverance from the government? We have to understand one thing, and one thing only, that it is the people with right attitude who build cities, nations, and countries. It reminds me of a maxim of Robert H. Jackson. He once said, "It is not the function of government to keep the citizen from falling into error. It is the function of citizen to keep the government from falling into error." Pakistani citizens have to take 3 most important basic steps. First of all, they have to learn of accepting their own mistakes. As long as they don't accept their mistakes, there is no possibility of rectification. Secondly, open-mindedness is needed, which leads them to see things from wider perspective and in the sense of cause and effect. For instance, understanding the point of view of your opponent, and open-mindedness is especially needed on certain issues like women emancipation and empowerment. Third, performing the 2 tasks as described earlier with right attitude. Without right attitude, neither can we learn to accept our mistakes nor can we open our mind. one of the biggest challenges faced by the employment agencies in the recruitment process is finding the people with right attitude. One can easily gather plethora of candidates with a specific technical skill. Do they have the right attitude? This is a tricky part because technical skill is one such aspect which can be learned and taught in a definite time period. On the other hand, it takes years to build and develop right attitude, which enables one to make right choices unconsciously. Homeless person of Boston and the cab driver, as we have mentioned about them earlier, are ordinary people like you and me. Then the question is, what makes them distinguished from others? It is the right attitude. And they are familiar with the very concept of rights and responsibilities. One's right, others' responsibility. One's responsibility, others' right. And there's a very subtle balance between them. Once it is lost, lost forever. And it jeopardizes the functionality, performance, and efficiency of the whole system. The question is, finally, how to make the future of Pakistan better. One thing is inevitably sure, that it cannot be done overnight because it demands a massive change. We are, however, talking about change from federal to provincial, provincial to district, district to city, city to village, village to house, house to locality, locality to home, and home to an individual person. And it is not some kind of mechanical change. For instance, this tool is not working, okay, replace it with that one. It is the change in behavior and attitude towards your rights and responsibilities from top to bottom of the whole structure. And everything starts with right attitude. Everything starts with being a right citizen, and be a right citizen. Thank you very much.